The first Russian ice-class liquefied natural gas tanker has begun its maiden delivery in the harsh conditions of the Northern Sea Route. The amount of liquefied natural gas it carries in one trip is enough to supply an entire city for a year. How did Russian engineers manage to build such a vessel under total sanctions? Who will buy our gas after the European Union's self-imposed ban? And why this is just the beginning? We'll tell you in today's episode after a brief summary of positive news. In the Kaliningrad region, a new industrial cluster of Avtotor has opened. A traction electric motor plant, a car seat plant, an electronic control systems plant, a plastic parts plant, an equipment and tooling plant, as well as a compact electric car plant. The Chelyabinsk Construction and Road Machinery Company has produced a prototype of a new 24-ton bulldozer. In the Orenburg region, a scientific and production center for unmanned aerial systems has been opened in Yuzhkorol, production of multi-layer electronic printed circuit boards. In the Saratov region, a specialized line for the production of polymer composites has been launched in Chuvashia, the first full-cycle wood processing plant, and in Podolsk, a packaging production facility. This week, the first Russian ice-class liquefied natural gas tanker, Alexei Kosygin, was loaded at the Arctic Liquefied Natural Gas, 2 plant, and set off on its first commercial voyage. The northern seas of Russia are now covered with ice, but the vessel has an ARC-7 class and is capable of independently breaking through ice more than 2 meters thick. This is a key advantage of the new tanker. After all, vessels of a lower class are forced to deliver products to Asia via a long route through Europe and the Suez Canal or around Africa, or take the shorter route through the Northern Sea Route to the east. This is only possible in summer. At other times, nuclear icebreakers are needed which few can afford. So, in early September 2025, the tanker Leo, which was transporting oil from Murmansk to China and did not have an ice class, took the risk of going on its own, but got stuck in the ice. In the waters of the East Siberian Sea, they had to call for help from the nuclear icebreaker 50 Let Pobedi, and such cases are not uncommon. The ice-class gas carrier Alexei Kosygin is a real giant. It is 300 meters long, almost 49 meters wide, and has a capacity of over 172,000 cubic meters. The amount of liquefied natural gas it transports in a single trip is enough to supply a medium-sized city for an entire year. So how did Russia manage to build this vessel? Never before in history have we built vessels of this class. In fact, only South Korea and China are capable of building them. That's why we chose the Koreans as partners to produce the first series of gas carriers. They were supposed to supply us with structural components and, most importantly, high-tech equipment, while we would assemble them at the new Zvezda shipyard in Primorsky Krai. Gradually increasing localization, in 2022, our partners Alexei, under pressure from the Americans, withdrew from the project, and at that time, not a single gas carrier had been built. The United States imposed sanctions against the entire Russian liquefied natural gas sector, including tankers, the Arctic liquefied natural gas, 2 plant, and financial institutions. They were seriously afraid that with the help of a fleet of ice-resistant gas carriers and the advantages of the short Northern Sea Route, we would push them out of the market. Therefore, according to their plan, our entire industry was supposed to be exposed. We're not used to giving up. Although the Koreans' escape caused a delay, in 2025, the first gas carrier, Alexei Kosygin, was completed and delivered to the customer, and now it has set out on its maiden commercial voyage. Largely thanks to the fact that even before the sanctions were imposed, we began replacing important components of the propeller rudder columns and electric propulsion systems. For this purpose, the VRK Safir plant was built on the territory of Zvezda, but the most technologically advanced part of the tanker is the cryogenic tanks for storing liquefied natural gas. Essentially, it's a giant multi-layer thermos consisting of layers of thin metal shell, multi-layer composite thermal insulation, and special tanker plywood. The tank must maintain the temperature of the liquefied gas at minus 163 degrees Celsius, withstand the dynamic movement of the vessel as it breaks through waves and ice, as well as the endless impacts of the liquefied natural gas itself during pitching. Although Alexei Kosygin was equipped with a foreign storage system before the sanctions, if you look into it, it's not that foreign after all. Tanker plywood? The key element of this entire complex structure is both the supporting base for the membrane and the thermal insulation layer at the same time. There are only 3 countries in the world that produce certified tanker plywood: Russia, Finland, and Latvia. That's because in these countries, birch has higher strength characteristics and unique chemical resistance. Selected birch veneer without defects is used for plywood production, along with special gluing technologies and special adhesive compositions. In Russia, plywood under the Sigasia LNZH brand is produced at the Vyatsky plywood plant in the Kirov region. Until now, all its production was exported, including to shipyards in China and South Korea. Since liquefied natural gas carriers were not built in Russia, but now our country has developed and already certified the main technology for storing liquefied natural gas on pipeline gas carriers using a membrane tank design. For the first time in the country, the production was established by the St. Petersburg Scientific and Production Enterprise Compensator. This is a very significant achievement, but we need to move forward since the Koreans have proven to be unreliable suppliers. In Russia, the Krylov State Research Center is working on the design of a similar gas carrier, but one that is completely independent of imports. To meet our needs, we require 20 such vessels. And here, a logical question arises about our objectives. Since the Americans do not plan to lift the sanctions, are we building all this in vain? In January, the European Union bought record Russian liquefied natural gas volumes because of severe cold. It suddenly turned out that the Americans were unable to supply enough of their own gas to the Europeans to replace Russian gas, since they were also suffering from frost and snowstorms. On January 26, the Council of the European Union approved a ban on Russian gas imports. Liquefied natural gas supplies will be banned starting January 1, 2027, and pipeline gas starting September 30, 2027. However, Russia has long been shifting its focus to Asia, even despite the sanctions. The Chinese port of Beihai on the southern coast of the country has become a key export point for Russian liquefied natural gas. In recent years, Beihai has transformed from a resort city into a major energy hub, receiving products from the Arctic Liquefied Natural Gas 2 project. Additionally, the Chinese have ensured the terminal is safe from sanctions. No ships from other countries visit it, and its operator, the state-owned company China Oil and Gas Pipeline Network, is almost independent of dollar transactions. In addition, according to Western media, to bypass sanctions, fuel is being transferred from Russian tankers to other ships in neutral waters off the coast of Malaysia. Vladimir Putin just last week met in St. Petersburg with the supreme ruler of Malaysia, Sultan Ibrahim. And in general, we've had quite close contacts with this country lately. We believe there will always be buyers for Russian resources. It also limits our exports. Right now, there's such a shortage of ice-class liquefied natural gas carriers that the state-of-the-art Arctic liquefied natural gas 2 plant is only operating at half capacity. But as we have shown, things have already started to move forward. And undoubtedly, we will overcome this difficulty as well. We just need to keep stubbornly moving toward our goal. We'll keep you updated on developments.